Manchester United are struggling and I've taken it upon myself to try and take them back to Champions League glory. That's right, I've taken over from Ten Hag and I've got 4 years as manager to try and deliver them the ultimate prize in world football. And I'm hoping I might be able to help the club do that, as this year in season 2, I've got a pretty big budget. But before we recap season 1, make sure you go back and watch the last episode if you haven't already. Spoilers ahead from what's happened so far. So, whilst we were aiming for the Champions League in year 1, we haven't even qualified for it. We'll be playing Europa League football in season 2, missing out by a point in that Champions League spot in our first year in the tenure. But maybe that'll be good for us, because after all, we didn't even win the Europa League last year. We just missed out losing to PSG in the semi-final. But after letting some older players go like Evans and Eriksen at the end of their contract and moving on dead weight like Casemiro and Victor Lindelof, I've managed to pull funds together to try and really improve this team, and I think we've done so in season 2. But we started the summer with some outgoings. The first one to leave the club was Amad Diallo, who's gone to play in Serie A for Monza. He's left for a fee of 7 million, with only a year left on his deal and not playing much last year. He wanted out, I was ready to cash in, so off he goes. Jadon Sancho, of course, another one that's ended up leaving the club. He was on a loan at Chelsea and they managed to make it a permanent deal, signing him for 25 million after a pretty good year at the London club. Last year's signing, Nathan Zeze, has been loaned out for the year to gain some experience. He's gone to play for Strasbourg. Having done a pretty good job at Nantes, this is a step up for him, so we're hoping he can really live up to expectation. But after those, there was a major sale. Manchester United fans, hold on to your seat. I apologise in advance for what's happened, but we have lost Bruno Fernandes. He has moved on to join Al Hilal. They came in for him and he decided he wanted to move on for a new challenge, aka he got offered £1.2 million a week, and I don't think he was ever going to turn that down. We did get good money for him, to be honest, but I didn't want to upset a club leader. I wasn't necessarily hanging on to him either, like I didn't think we really needed him completely anymore. We got 95 million quid as well. It's a lot of money for a 30-year-old. We were then able to reinvest that in some new players for the team, which I think take us to another level, but I'll let you guys be the judge. But first, before I show you that, if you are enjoying the video, make sure you smash the like button, or if you just want to be nice, and subscribe on the road to 50k. It really does help me out by doing all that stuff, interacting with the video, so thank you to anyone who does that. But now, let me know what you think of these transfers I've bought in. Don't worry, this isn't exactly the shout home transfer. This is just one my director of football picked up that I thought I'd mention. Max Elien. The director of football thinks he could be good enough to make the first team squad one day. I'd argue otherwise, but he picked him up on a free from Manchester City's academy. But now on to my signings. Now, I mentioned in season 1 that I was really trying to kind of change the philosophy around Manchester United to sign players for good value that give us good quality and fit the system, and even have resale value in the future instead of buying these real big names that don't tend to work out. And I think I've done a great job of that, particularly with this signing. I've signed Oscar Zambrano, who is a 21-year-old Ecuadorian regular international playing alongside the likes of Moises Caicedo, Kendry Paez, and we got him for only 2.7 million from Liga de Quito, a club out in Ecuador. Now, I have loaned him back out there for a year to keep up his experience, but he is a great personality. I'm trying to change that in the club as well. I want to have some brilliant personalities around the team. 20 determination, a determined personality style. Yes, maybe not the biggest leader, but he is going to be performing well on the pitch on a regular basis, I hope, and with a lot of potential to grow for the value we signed him. I think this could be a gem of a deal. The other signing for the future, I suppose you could say, was Rooney Bargi, who famously scored for FC Copenhagen against Manchester United in real life the other year. Now we have bought him in and loaned him back out to his Danish club for the season. He's came in for 16.5 million quid after a good year in season 1 for the Danish side. I think he's got a huge future. He's going to feature on that right-hand side down the line for us, but for now, we've bought him in, we'll loan him out, he'll continue his development, and then hopefully become a well-beater in our team. But again, we didn't spend crazy money on him. After that, it was all about looking for value in the market for players that could improve our first team currently, and I think again, we've done a good job of that. We've signed players for the future, but also signed players that could help us out right now. Take Ryan Aït-Nouri, for example, part of the Wolves team that was relegated in season 1, and for that reason, he was available on a cut price deal for only 17.75 million. He is joining us, and the Algerian will hopefully be good competition for Luke Shaw. Tyrell Malacia is still here, mind you, but I think Aït-Nouri probably goes above him in the pecking order and could become a very good left back for us, particularly with Luke Shaw's injury problems. He only cost us 70 million, and then for 18 million, I've bought in another option to improve the squad. Now, I don't quite know if this one will work out out to the levels that I have faith in the others, but Marcus Edwards was available for a release clause free from Sporting Club de Portugal, where he was good last year. £18 million it was, so still less than 20 mil, which is a bargain these days for an Englishman who's 26, room to get better, can play on both wings, and even if he's only a squad level player for us, I think that's not a bad deal. But then we get on to our major signing, one that I think really does help us long term. It's Nico Schlotterbeck, who was available from Borussia Dortmund for a fee of only 38 mil. He was on the transfer list. I guess he had fell out with their manager, Nuri Sahin. He had played well last year, so I was surprised by it, but 38 mil is a great deal for a German international, 25-year-old, heading into his prime. We've got De Ligt here as well, Martinez, and Lenny Yoro, and if that isn't 4 good centre-back options, I don't know what is. I'm delighted to have him here. But I know some of you are going to be sitting there saying, but Jay, you didn't mention Harry Maguire in the centre-back options. Well, it's because I've loaned him out. In fact, I tried to sell him in the last year of his contract here, but no one wanted him, so he eventually just got rid to get his wages off the books. He's gone to Salzburg for the season. They're playing £4 million for it. There's an optional 7 mil fee at the end of it, but his contract's up at the end of the year. I assume they'll just take that option. But either way, we can say goodbye to Harry Maguire. But it wasn't just in terms of transfers where I was looking to change the club. I've also been asking the board to invest in the club's facilities. Often something that Manchester United fans feel like is being left behind. I've asked for a stadium improvement, didn't quite get that yet, but they are willing to improve the academy coaching and the youth recruitment, which is all now at a very good level. So if we can keep improving those, we can keep Manchester United at the forefront of world football and hopefully not slip away as time goes on. So in a bid to win the Champions League in 4 years, we've managed to move on some deadwood, bring in some great players, I think at least. We've managed to upgrade the club's facilities. I'm also looking to change the club's tactical philosophy. Now last year we were playing a gegenpress system. We are continuing that, still a 4-3-3, but some of the roles have been adjusted to be slightly more attacking now to hopefully get the best out of some of our star men. This is what we're going for. The last tactic was kind of built to help players like Bruno Fernandes, but with him leaving, this is now what we're looking at. It's actually a pretty good team when you look at it on paper. Our best 11 supposedly is Onana with a backline of Dalot, De Ligt, Schlotterbeck and Shaw, which I think is a pretty good defence. In front of them, Ugarte, Mount and Paqueta is a talented midfield with Rashford, Garnacho and Højlund supposedly as the best of the rest. But of course, there's loads of players in that squad still that could come in and do a good job for the team and hopefully help us compete on multiple fronts this season. Now, despite everything that I've just said about improving the team, we've actually gone down in our season preview. We were predicted 5th last season with 15-1 odds of winning the title. Now it's 20-1 odds and we're predicted 6th. Now, does that mean we've got worse? Has everyone else got better? I guess that's up for debate, but I think we're heading in the right direction no matter what that Football Manager media prediction says. I feel like this could be a big year for the club, especially when you see our friendly performance so far where we've only conceded 1 goal and we've managed to score plenty. I mean, we actually beat Bayern Munich 4-0. Was it their best team? No, but it's still a big result, although we have got a very tough test to start the season away to Arsenal. In year 1, it was mixed results against the Gunners. We lost 3-0 at the Emirates, but then beat them 4-0 at Old Trafford. But this time, away against them, we managed to win 1-0 with a brilliant Rashford goal. A Joshua Zirkzee double then helped us to a win against Brentford, before a slight setback at the London Stadium drawing 2-2. But we then completed the month with a 3-0 win against Fulham, and that was a great start to the season, which continued across the next few months for us. One brilliant win in that few month period was against promoted side Leeds. Of course, one of Manchester United's biggest rivals, Mason Mount, scored before we sealed the deal in the 85th minute, a Luke Shaw corner, finding Schlotterbeck, who managed to pull it to Anthony, of all people, found it back to Shaw, who managed to finish brilliantly to get us the win. But it wasn't just long-term rivals that we were beating, we were also beating some league rivals that were competing for the same position as us. Take Chelsea for example, a side that much like us will be looking for a top 4 finish this year. We managed to get a first goal against them after only a minute through Kobbie Mainoo, an excellent strike. And before we'd even reached the 10-minute mark, we'd made it too. Mount, Mainoo and Rashford linking up, and we sealed the deal late on. Our high-pressing gegenpress system helped us win the ball back, Rashford getting the ball in the area, driving to the byline before Zirkzee tucked it away. So all in all, everything was going really well, and I felt like this really might be the year where we could actually not just push for top 4, but maybe mount a title challenge. The next game though was our biggest test yet, away at Anfield against Liverpool, and let's just say we were humbled pretty quickly. McAllister finding Darwin Núñez for the first goal. Within 5 minutes, they'd managed to make it 2. Unlucky from Aït-Nouri, but he managed to put the ball in our own net. If it wasn't already bad enough, Luis Diaz continued giving our defence a tough time. Rabiot finding McAllister, who powered home. Look away, Manchester United fans, it only gets worse. A free kick, bobble into Luis Diaz to make it 4. And then it was 5. Alexander-Arnold sealing the deal. So after being pretty positive at first, a lot of doubts definitely creeped in after that game. We did manage to bounce back against Anderlecht, winning 3-0 in one of many wins in the Europa League, but then it was another big test, this time Manchester City at Old Trafford. And I think this game really showed me what it was like to be a Manchester United manager. We just lost 5-0 to Liverpool, and then suddenly they pulled a performance out the bag like this. Antony going 1-0 up, Antony again involved playing a corner that we ended up heading in through the lit. Another set piece from the wand of a left foot from Antony ended up finding Højlund on the edge of the area, probably unmeaning so from him to be honest, but Højlund then did pull it and we found Ferguson to make it 3, and the deal was sealed when Ferguson found Højlund to make it 4. And that kind of mixed form then pretty much continued all the way up until January. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. I didn't really know where we stood, but I was just happy that we were playing better than last year at least. In fact, come January 1st, we were sitting top of the Europa League table with 6 wins out of 6. And whilst we were a long way off league leaders Tottenham of all people, we were sitting comfortably in 2nd place in the league. 2 draws, 4 losses, and a great start to the season. I mean, I say pretty great. We're not going to mention the fact we lost to Lincoln Red Imps in the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup, which, yeah, we're not going to talk about that one. We're out of that competition. But in terms of individual performances, we've had some great ones this year. Kobbie Mainoo is getting better and better. In fact, he's just been rewarded with a new long-term contract. Marcus Rashford was having that unbelievable season that he tends to have every few years. He'd scored 18 goals in all comps already, 9 in the league in only 20 games. Xerxes had managed to hit 12, Schlotterbeck was one of our best performers, and Garnacho had hit 6. So everything was going swimmingly, and we were hoping it could get even better with the budget we were given. £44 million and plenty of money in the wage budget thanks to all the sales we made. Now that the January transfer window was upon us, it was time to make some signings and take this team to another level to hopefully push all the way to that Premier League title. And in the January market, I must say we did struggle because a lot of teams were raising their prices because it was January, and I decided I wasn't going to act rashly as Manchester United have done in the past, and I decided to sign nobody, but we did let go of a couple of players. The first one was Dan Gore, who we've loaned out for the year because I actually see a promising player here. He's not someone I know much about in real life, but in game he actually looks pretty good. He's 21 and he's ready to take the step up, so he's been loaned out to Luton in the Premier League for the season. Good luck to him there, it will fit him nicely. And if he does well enough, he could actually come back to the first team. But he wasn't the only outgoing sale that I wanted to talk about because another player left permanently. But before I show you that, just to let you know that you can actually get access to these rebuild files and continue them yourself for every rebuild that we've ever done over on my Patreon, which you can find linked in the description if you want to join the over 100 members that we've got over there who continue these rebuild files. I'd really appreciate it. Help support me as a creator as well, and a lot of you guys have fun with it, so make sure you check that out. But let's check out the sale, where finally, after 2 years of trying to ship him off, Tyrell Malacia has left the club. Now, he is a good left back. He's just not someone I wanted around long term. I tried to sell him so many times and he rejected every move. Newcastle, he said no to. He said no to Barcelona, guys. Tell me how that's possible. But either way, he ends up at Al Ain. I don't know who they are, but they're a Saudi Arabian, no, United Arab Emirates club. Forgive me, I usually think it's going to be a Saudi club when they come in with money for a player that I don't want. But either way, 6.25 million. He's done well out there in his first game by the looks of it. He only played once all this year, so I am not really missing him. But Oscar Zambrano was back at the club. His loan at Liga de Quito was only for half a season, and now he's came back. He did a good job over there, played loads of times and played really well, so fingers crossed he can settle into the Premier League and prove himself a bargain. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but after 4 transfer windows here now, I actually think we've got this squad in a pretty good place. Goalkeeper, there is Altay Bayındır and Andre Onana, perfectly fine. At right back, Mazraoui and Dalot compete for that position. Meanwhile, at left back, you've got Luke Shaw and Ryan Aït-Nouri with other players that can cover that area. Our centre-backs are De Ligt, Schlotterbeck, Martinez and Lenny Yoro, and that's not a bad set of centre-backs to pick from. In defensive midfield, you've got Ugarte and plenty of others that could fill in there if needed, but really Mason Mount, Paqueta, Mainu, Zambrano and Ferguson I see as more forward-thinking midfielders. On the right-hand side, you've got Garnacho and Anthony, as well as Marcus Edwards. On the left, of course, Rashford then comes into the equation, as does Mason Mount, and then up front, Højlund, Xerxes and Rashford prove to be three great options, all valued pretty highly, all doing fairly well and doing their bit. Now, despite all the good business that I've done and the fact that I have actually sold more than I've spent in the last couple of windows overall, there is an issue at Manchester United financially, because the club is in a negative £180 million balance despite all of the players' wages that I've managed to get off. The debts and loans aren't looking great either, and really this team needs Champions League football if we're going to keep that money rolling in. They get plenty in sponsorships and whatnot, and we'll also get the league money and stuff at the start of next season, but we really need to get Champions League if we are to keep this club going in the direction I want them to. So it means that we have to beat teams like Arsenal when we come up against them, and we did that in a very convincing display at Old Trafford, doing the double over them this year. Schlotterbeck opened the scoring. Arsenal then did pull a goal back through Bukayo Saka, his trademark left foot shot, but Rashford managed to put us in the lead from the spot before sealing the deal later on, linking up with Aït-Nouri on the left hand side, managing to get the ball back to him in the area and scoring a goal. He's building a nice partnership with the former Wolves man. And with that, we were heading into the second half of the season in good form, with players all playing well in the Europa League, where we'd done so well already, and still in the FA Cup, so it was all to play for still. And we really kicked into gear as the season went on, beating the likes of Leeds 6-0, which any Man U fan would have loved. We also beat top of the league Spurs 2-1 at Old Trafford, and got a great win against Liverpool too. But I mentioned Spurs a second ago. They were having a great season, not just in the league, but also pushing all the way to the semi-final of the Europa League, where guess who they were facing? Us. Now, we lost 1-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, so then when they came to play at Old Trafford, it was all to play for. They were in red hot form, and so were we, and it was probably one of the games of the year as Son scored. So at this stage, they're 2-0 up, and they made it free. Onana's back pass, a poor one, finding Son, who again finished well. Now, the Manchester United of recent years would be down and out there more than likely, but with me at the helm, things were a little bit different with the squad we've built, and we did manage to get back in the game. Rashford finding Højlund, it was 3-1. Not too long afterwards, Garnacho, Ferguson and Mazraoui played some brilliant football to open some space on the right, which was able to find Ferguson and make it 3-2. Now, there's only 26 minutes on the clock at this point, so it was definitely an engaging first half where Spurs managed to get another one, 4-2 on aggregate now. They then scored from the spot to make it 5-2 on aggregate, but we managed to claw another goal back, Rashford helping Xerxes make it 4-3 on the night and 5-3 overall. But unfortunately, that was as far as we could go. We did score 3, but we conceded 4 at Old Trafford, not good enough, and it meant once again we crashed out of the Europa League in the semi-final stage. But this year in the FA Cup, we had also made a semi-final. So off to Wembley we went, up against Liverpool, where Garnacho managed to open the scoring. It was then 2 not long afterwards, De Ligt powering home from a corner. Martinez and Ugarte made a mistake in the defence, which led to Mo Salah pulling a goal back. But it wasn't long before we made amends. Kobe Mainu, growing into a great player in this FM side, found Garnacho onto Ferguson, who'd found his shooting boots and made it 3-1. Towards the end of the game though, the hearts did go in the mouth after Szoboszlai scored, but that was all. It ended 3-2 and we were now qualified for an FA Cup final. But before we got there, we had plenty of league games to play. There was a 4-0 win against Luton, which we followed up with a disappointing 2-1 loss to Man City. We followed that with wins against Bournemouth and Newcastle, and heading into the last game of the season, we actually had the chance to win the title. We needed results elsewhere to go our way, but our job was to make sure we beat Aston Villa. Now, for those of you that did watch episode 1, you might remember in only our second game in charge, we lost 4-0 to Villa, so it was great to see us change our form around now, 2 years on, Højlund making it 1-0. We won't speak about the mistake from Emi Martinez, but we'll certainly take it, and then just before half-time, we did the business we needed to, Garnacho finding Højlund again, turning into a real good striker. But the unfortunate news for us was that it was not enough. We finished in second place, 85 points, 2 points away from eventual winners Tottenham. Now, Man City had a late resurgence and started climbing up the title. Rashford did end up being the best player of the year with the most goals as well, so that was obviously a positive, but unfortunately it was Spurs who won the trophy. So the Premier League title in season 2 wasn't ours. We were out of the Europa League by Spurs as well, so they were really the thorn in our side this year. So imagine my surprise when I see the FA Cup final draw, and who is it against? Tottenham. Now, I don't know whether I gave a rousing team talk before the game or whether Spurs were just so in awe of winning a trophy for once that they gave in at this cup final, but we took the lead straight away through Højlund. And we powered on because not long afterwards, Rashford made it too. Did someone say 3-0? Well, Mason Mount certainly did. Played a corner in, which eventually found De Ligt, who knocked it onto Højlund, whose deflected shot made it 3. But why have 3 when you can have 4? When Luke Shaw found Rashford in the area, who managed to tuck it away from close range. Now, I don't know what the record for an FA Cup final win was, but when we got the 5th goal to make it 5-0, we must have been pretty close, if not already getting that title. And could this be the start of something big for our Manchester United team? Our first trophy in the 76th minute, Højlund, Rashford, it was 6-0. We absolutely smashed them, and our first trophy as Manchester United boss was in. Was it the trophy I wanted overall, the Champions League? No, but we've still got 2 more years and 2 more episodes to get that you'll see next week. But for now, we've got an FA Cup trophy under our belt, which is a massive achievement, a 2nd place league finish, and we can hopefully kick on from here. And just in case anyone was wondering, it was not a dominant 6-0 win. I mean, XG wise, it was fairly even. We just obviously got the look of the green. But it's been a real team effort this year, which I've loved to see. We haven't relied upon one single man. Rashford, yes, did score 36, which seems like a crazy year, but you had Marcus Edwards playing really well, scoring 5, Garnacho 17, Xerxes 18, Mount 18, Højlund 25 himself, 15 from the Scotsman Lewis Ferguson, who's really came out of the woodwork, because in season 1, he only played 9 times, didn't do much. Maybe Bruno Fernandes was holding him back, because suddenly this year, with him not there, he has absolutely smashed it. He's had a blinder of a season, and I feel like most of our transfers have worked pretty well. Schlotterbeck has been a brilliant signing for us, I must say, one of the best defenders in the league this season, and we're now going to be heading into our 3rd year with another huge budget, lots of big decisions to make on contracts too, in terms of players that are getting towards the end of their deals. Luke Shaw, Anthony, Martinez, they're all on big wages. How many of them are going to stay? Time will tell. But that is the end of episode 2. Make sure you stick around for episode 3. Smash the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, check out the Patreon. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.